Real Talk, Queering Racial Justice plus Faith.
A conversation between Vicki Woods and Barclay. Come, Spirit, come. Conspire with us, convict us, consecrate us with compassion, and lead us in truth as we endeavor to enflesh a new way together.
But I think one of the things for me about being white is just the recognition of how white people are the majority policymakers. And it took me a while to begin to realize how racist and racism is about policies. And so then I asked myself, who makes those policies? And I think being a part of betrayal is not recognizing the power of white people in making policies and doing it out of my own location and not trying to bring about other locations. I remember when I came on the cabinet, and I thought my focus was going to be being a lesbian. As soon as we got a new bishop, she said our focus is going to be on racism. And that was, and no other isms. And I thought, no, that's not why. I didn't know how to shift for a while. So not being able to do that intersectionality. And the same thing then became true with policies. Whose policy do I fight for, if I have to choose one? But I don't. I know that.
Brings to mind so much of the way that our being pitted against each other and our various marginalizations hurts everybody. It doesn't hurt it doesn't benefit anybody. Yeah. And then of course, most of all, the Black and brown lesbians who are erased in both of those conversations so often. My own gender in particular as a entry into solidarity for racial justice work, being my experience of betrayal, particularly since coming out as trans, watching and experiencing for years on end the trans community be pushed to the side, to the back, just never actually deeply invested in within movements for justice, and being the kind of community that gets words of support sometimes, but very rarely action oriented, policies oriented around justice for trans people. I think that just feeling the depth of that, even in comparison to my experiences around sexuality, makes me a lot more aware of my own desire not to repeat that pattern in terms of race, where I recognize it happens to a more severe degree, right? But I just feel so attuned to I know what's happening, when language or performance is making something seem like it's going to bring about justice for the people on the edges of a community, but I feel like I can see through some of that in new ways. And so growing up in a super racist and misogynist household shaped my becoming in a way that I am timid, which whiteness teaches me to be based on gender and my race. I seek affirmation. I, am inclined to center myself if I'm feeling anxious, even when that betrays my values. And I think that that's part of my own betrayal of showing up to racial justice, are just those instincts towards centering whiteness.
So I think if we bury our privilege as white people, that's being selfish as well. I think I believe that.
Yeah, if we disavow it, right? If we pretend like it's not there, it doesn't go away.
Right.
Matter. And so it's a wasted resource for the work of racial justice at that point, right? We're squandering what has been unrighteously handed to us when we could be using it for the benefit of the work we believe in. Yeah. So when I'm like doing a trans 101 class or, you know, working for queer justice, and allies are so wonderfully showing up to that work, wanting to learn about trans people or about queer people, when what I want is them to think about their own experiences of gender under cis normativity, right? Their own experiences of sexuality and how heterosexism has harmed them as straight people, because then their shared investment that is not just about like, oh, helping them, you know,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
like, this is about all of us because these systems are cheating us. And so like I think that the same thing matters, right, in these conversations around racial justice.
I think it's the scripture, the faith, my spirituality that grounds me in doing the work of racial justice. I think, and the other thing, racial justice keeps me grounded in spirituality.
Yeah.
You know, or I'd be out of that as well. It would be easier to put that down than the racial justice, but together they both ground me when the other one's getting too shallow.
I feel like in the church there's so many of these so important things, like love, like forgiveness, like healing, like reconciliation. Those things of course matter, but the church manages to take these things that matter so much and then use them against justice, which is just, man, talk about betrayal, right?
Yeah. You just can't throw around the word love without throwing around where it lacks.